Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, and welcome wherever you are watching live around the world on A1R and Moonstruck TV. I'm the Urban Monk, and we're going to discuss again why thinking is killing you. As you can see, I'm by the sea. It's a bit of a heat wave in the UK, so I've moved myself to sunny Humberside, out on the street, doing a little bit of touring around. Basically, I want to touch on what we spoke about on season 1, which is attachment. Attachment is a form of identification which links us to the past. If we want to be present, we have to be rid of the past and don't worry about the future. If you think about it, anxiety and depression are all based about the fact that you are here but you want to be there, looking for something to achieve in a future time, a time that doesn't exist. So clearly, identification is a big issue. What I mean by identification is, for those of you like myself that have children, we spend all our life making sure the child is okay, giving it its every need, until the point where it grows up and becomes kind of dependent upon us, when really we should be letting it find its own way in life, finding its own path, finding its own energy. But in terms of identifying with being a parent, and this is a personal thing, I know quite a lot of my clients and friends and family that have hung on to the child because without that parenting responsibility, they feel like they cease to exist. And that's quite an interesting concept, ceasing to exist. If you look at Eckhart Tolle's book, for example, when The Power of Now, when he woke up and said, I hate myself. Well, I and myself can't be used in the same sentence because one is a subject, one is an object. That would imply that there's two people living the same life. And I mentioned last time about the voice in your head that's not actually you. Well, that's the other part of I hate myself. I am life. That's it. My life sucks. It doesn't, because there is no my life. I am life. My life is an attachment to the existence that we have in an attempt to try and explain who we are. And we move forward and still hang on to this clingy parenting style. People do it with pets. Let's think about the pet dog, the family dog. How many people out there send a card to the dog, happy birthday from mummy or happy birthday from daddy? We try and humanize the dog because it becomes a link with something that we can think about and care for and make sure it's okay tomorrow. Children are the same. Relationships are the same. If there's no space for you to exist in the universe, then we fill that space with wanting or needing or looking for something to identify with. That identification takes us away from being present. Present is the only time we've got. I keep reiterating that, and that's really what the Urban Monk is about, making sure people understand that we have to live in the present moment because that's all there really is. So we spend time dreading the day when the child qualifies from university or from college or from where it's going and moves away from the nest to better their own life. And we cling and cling and cling and try to do what we can to encourage or to even prevent that from happening because it makes us feel better about ourselves. If they leave, when they leave, it makes us feel devastated and we suffer grief. We all know grief. And when a pet dies, we suffer grief. Now, is the grief because that person's gone or that animal's gone? Or is the grief because I no longer have a part in that person or that pet, that animal's life? Write that down. Interesting question. Because really, we need to let the child grow and spread its wings and make mistakes and be there to pick it up, pick him, her, them up and help them learn to live and be a part of society. The ego is constantly trying to exist in ourselves by focusing on the present moment and making us do decisions or make decisions based on tomorrow or yesterday. The Eckhart Tolle calls it the pain body. So the pain body fights and fights and fights to prevent that child from leaving home. So really, you have no interest in the child's welfare. It's simply about you making you feel better about yourself. So if we stay in the present moment and accept that the child is going to go, the pet is going to pass away, we can then live our lives in the moment with total love and gratitude, which will emanate then to the child, and it will emanate to the animal. The focus on preventing progress for a child, an offspring, or a friend is simply holding you back, but also passing on that pain body, that ego, to your child. I know a client of mine who doted on her son, doted and wanted everything and anything to prevent him from leaving home. And because he would transgress or break the family rules or not do his chores, he would shout at her instead of her remonstrating with him for failing to do what she actually asked him to do. And in the end, it became a point where he was then controlling the parent. The parent was trying to be too much of a friend and not a guide or a parent. And he ended up being a misogynistic, narcissistic, woman hating, nasty, nasty person. And it really wasn't his fault. It wasn't the parents' fault, but it was a case of both of them coming together and battling it out. And instead of taking charge and living in the moment and being present and accepting that she may not be his friend for that 24 hours, she went the other way and became more friendly with him. People that talk to the dogs like mummy's here and daddy's here and all that, those kind of things, they kind of tend to make your pet neurotic, or the dog will follow you around the house because it's got abandonment issues, or it needs to know that you're there. It needs to know that you're there 24 hours. But in the wild, it wouldn't be like that. And again, stealing from Eckhart Tolle, you don't ever see a neurotic horse or a neurotic cow. They just are. They live their life every moment in the moment. That's all they know. But pets take on human characteristics, human neuroses, human issues, because we think that that's how it should be. We look to pets for comfort. We look to pets for solace. And I understand that. But when we start humanizing the pet, it's as bad as allowing the child to demean you and rule the roost rather than you taking control and making sure you pass on positive energy, love and nurturing, rather than the pain body that you're suffering in terms of, well, he's going to go, she's going to go, I'm going to be on my own, empty nest syndrome. This is the time that you have to accept you've done your role, you've done your job. Recently, I've started gardening and helping things grow and looking at getting my own sort of vegetables. And I know that I plant the seed, but I don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. Okay, that's a very important point. We plant the seed, but we don't disturb the soil to check whether that seed is actually growing and is going to achieve what we want it to achieve. And yet we don't do that with our children. You know, it's our responsibility to nurture, keep safe, feed the child, make sure everything's okay, meet its needs until there's a time when it's able to make decisions for itself. He, she, it, they are able to make decisions for themselves. And then it's time to draw back, time to hold off with the I'm your friend and you can talk to me like a piece of shit. Sorry, Dave. And get away with it, because that's passing on the ego that they think fighting is the right way, arguing is the way to win a battle, arguing is the way to get what I want, rather than trying to be at peace with themselves and live in the moment and let your energy vibrate the way it's meant to vibrate. Anxiety depression. Again, I've mentioned it before, the biggest killers in modern medicine today. We allow ourselves to get angry, the knot in the stomach, the body starts to vibrate, the energy starts to vibrate, the 10-second vibrations per second on the alpha right-hand side of the brain starts to get dysfunctional. We end up in a whole world of pain. The body then starts to vibrate at a depressed, anxious level, which we know, and I've said to you before, the universe vibrates at different frequencies in different dimensions. The happiness vibration is at a higher level than the depressed vibration. So if you go down to that lower level, your body, internal organs, everything as part of you as a human being vibrates at that level. It's not rocket science. I'm not saying anything that's not been proved by MRI scans and neuroplasticity and neurosurgeons and people that study neuroscience are all agreeing today, modern science agrees today, that what you think is sending out an energy vibration to the universe. And we know from the law of attraction that what you think is what you ultimately get back. So in terms of today's lesson or talk, let go of attachment. I was with a work colleague, Graham, earlier on this week, and we talked about things, and he kept mentioning this from the past, this from the past. And I said, I'm going to mention you on the show tonight because of your attachment issues. We need to let go of the past. It's gone. Learn from it. And if your chimp starts to get active, as Steve Peters from the Chimp Paradox says, put it in a box or give it a banana. Okay? These thoughts are okay as long as we don't identify with them. And in finishing, I'll mention this to the new viewers and new followers. For a number of years, I don't care to remember, I was a functioning alcoholic. I was going to work drunk. I couldn't cope with life. I was a total mess. I still drink today. I'll have a pint, I'll have a bottle of wine, because I don't identify, there's no attachment to being an alcoholic. It sounds simple, but I hear it said that once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic, and I don't believe that, because I'm living proof that I was in a real mess. Lost 2 relationships because of drinking, and then following my epiphany and my road trip, I just quit. I quit thinking that I was an alcoholic. I quit having the attachment to being an alcoholic. I quit the identification with being an alcoholic. So if you identify as a parent, good for you. But try not to make that your sole purpose in life. You know, the child is going to go. You've got a life to live after that. Love them, embrace them, and try and teach them when they've left how to be a decent human being. Don't pass on your pain body or your ego to them. Okay, I'm getting the word from Dave that time's up. I could go on. I'm on a bit of a rant today. It's the sunshine by the beach in Humberside. So I'll wish you well, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care.